President and Vice-Chancellor, as public orator, may I, Nigel Cesarge, present Sir Kent Woods, a candidate for an honorary degree. The coronavirus pandemic reminded us all how much we depend on safe, reliable vaccines and other medicines. That vital service in the UK is provided by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulation Agency, the MHRA. And Kent Woods is the man who set up that organisation in 2004 and led it with great success for 10 years. Kent might have joined the Royal Navy, a boyhood ambition, or he could have gone into retail, a family tradition. No one on the male side of the family had been to university, though one of his aunts had qualified as a vet, which may have influenced Kent's growing interest in biological sciences. A chance conversation with the geology teacher on a school field trip prompted Kent to think seriously about university and to set his sights on Cambridge, where he graduated in medicine in 1972. Clinical training posts in Birmingham and fellowships and a lectureship at Birmingham University followed, and his cancer research resulted in a prize-winning doctorate from Cambridge in 1980. At Birmingham, Kent benefited from the encouragement of his boss, Bill Hoffenberg, the South African anti-apartheid campaigner who had a great reputation for spotting talent. And a chance encounter affected Kent's development and career direction. Sir Richard Doll, whose work did so much to highlight the links between smoking and disease, visited the department, and Kent was told to look after him. Doll gave Kent a private seminar which opened his eyes to the importance of public health epidemiology as a missing ingredient in much clinical practice at the time. This prompted Kent to apply for a one-year fellowship at Harvard, where, Kent says, he made more progress than in all the 3 years of his doctorate. In 1984, Kent said farewell to Birmingham to join the still relatively young Leicester Medical School as a senior lecturer in clinical pharmacology. His clinical and research interests were in cardiovascular medicine, a field where Leicester was fast establishing its international reputation. His research was taking off, including large collaborative studies of care after heart attack, funded by the EU. But this was interrupted in 1999 when he was headhunted to direct a new national program funding research on the effectiveness of therapeutic interventions, diagnostics, and screening. The university seconded Kent to this post half-time. Kent insists that this was chance, but detached onlookers would recognize that he had demonstrated the necessary breadth of talent to undertake such a big role at national level. And indeed, 4 years later, headhunters interrupted Kent's holiday in the Netherlands and invited him to apply to be the first chief executive of the new MHRA, combining the separate organizations responsible for the safety and quality of all pharmaceuticals, blood products, and medical devices. The university again had the good sense to release Kent on secondment, this time full-time, allowing him to maintain his family home in Leicester while obtaining a flat in London. This new organisation was truly a major undertaking, with a staff of about 1,200 and an annual turnover of £125 million. Kent claims he had always avoided management like the plague and hadn't previously run anything more complicated than a ward round. His successful leadership of the MHRA from its earliest days shows that in reality he has an exceptional combination of clinical and managerial skills, plus the very necessary diplomacy needed to deal with a long succession of government ministers. And there were many other challenges, starting with a crisis when the essential IT system, installed just before Kent's appointment, failed chaotically. The MRHA's functions include not just licensing new drugs, but also monitoring the safety of marketed medicines made in or imported into the UK. In one instance, during Kent's time, their inspection processes protected both UK and US citizens from tens of thousands of contaminated doses of flu vaccine. Kent's influence was not limited to the UK. He had a prominent role in the Collaborative Organisation for Medicines Regulation across the EU and chaired the European Medicines Agency's management board for 4 years. His personal skills were also called upon in liaison with his opposite numbers in major pharmaceutical producing countries like India and China, and in maintaining appropriately independent but constructive relations with the representatives of international pharmaceutical companies. Kent was knighted during his term at the MHRA and is a Fellow of the Academy of Medical Sciences. On retirement, he has maintained an active role in public life. His skill in explaining complex and sometimes controversial issues was particularly well demonstrated during the COVID pandemic, when he was consulted by the media on the development and approval of vaccines, giving measured expert opinion to address public anxiety. Until recently, he was Deputy Chair of the Trustees of the British Heart Foundation and Chair of its Advisory Council. And Kent's continued commitment to this community is reflected in 2 terms as President of the Leicester Literary and Philosophical Society, the organisation behind the foundation of this university. Kent is a man of extensive intellectual interests. He enjoys travel with his wife Rose, who is with us this afternoon, though he regrets never having really mastered a foreign language. He reads widely, chiefly non-fiction, and would take a Bach cello concerto if he were ever cast away on desert island discs. His admiration of our recent honorary graduate, Sir Chris Whitty, who guided the country through the pandemic, provides some insight into Kent's own strengths. Like Whitty, he is an outstanding scientist whose public service has made a major contribution to our nation's health. Kent's calm, well-informed, persuasive and decisive leadership is widely acknowledged, coupled with an outstanding capacity for making other people's ideas for change come to fruition. By its very nature, much of the success of Kent's vital work has been out of the public gaze. This then is our opportunity to correct that and to celebrate his many achievements publicly. President and Vice-Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I present Kent Linton Woods that you may confer on him the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
Well, thank you very much for that. Thank you to the university for bestowing this honour on me. It means a great deal. I've had a very long association with Leicester University, and it has been a very important link to me. Curiously, the first time I ever came to Leicester, I was in my early teens. I was about 13, I suppose, and my parents had driven up from Warwickshire to the De Montfort Hall so that I could hear my first symphony concert. We sat about there. Now, I don't remember the programme, but I do remember being very impressed by the occasion. But I didn't come back to Leicester for another 20 years when I turned up for an interview for a senior lectureship in clinical pharmacology, and I've been here ever since. The second debt of gratitude I owe to the university, as you've heard, is that I was allowed secondment opportunities on no fewer than 3 occasions, and the third became even longer than it was envisaged to be, and that enabled me to take up opportunities at the national level which came my way. And I think that's something for which, again, I will always be grateful to the university for. My congratulations to those of you here today with your friends and supporters to collect your degrees. It's a huge achievement for you and a great stepping stone in your life, and you can take great pride in it and a day of celebration. I don't think when you're reflecting on your future careers, I can give you anything very concrete in the way of careers advice. As you've heard, my own has been a slightly unpredictable career course, and I certainly didn't end up very close to the starting point. My first doctorate was earned in the hard way with a thesis and several years of research in the lab in my early 30s. I mention that because at the time there was no internet, there was no World Wide Web, there were no mobile phones, no personal computers. We're looking at 1980. Now we're in an information age, more profound and more rapidly evolving than the printing press in the 15th century. It's astonishing to think that in 2025, it was estimated that 74% of the global population, 6 billion people, have connection to the internet. This is a new world, and you are in the middle of it, and we're still coming to terms with its implications. We must take the advantage of the power of the internet while being aware of its potential problems: information overload, disinformation, social polarization, internet-enabled crime. All of these things we must learn to grapple with. But the benefits have been huge in almost all areas of life. Building a career in this new world requires adaptability. Ask these questions of any potential role you consider. Is it interesting? What can I contribute? Will I learn new skills? Are there any good role models I can learn from? Most of the major moves in my life have arisen by chance encounters. They were not planned in advance. Each took me into unfamiliar territory, and each was more interesting than the last. We each have more transferable skills than we think we have. To my surprise, I discovered in mid-career that leadership and management in large organizations is intellectually challenging and therefore interesting. And analyzing problems, appraising the options, choosing the best solutions, and carrying people with you to deliver the best result. Very challenging, very interesting, and very rewarding. I firmly believe that we need more scientists in leadership roles in public life, including politics and the civil service. These are exciting times, particularly in the life sciences, and I hope your degrees will set you on rewarding and fulfilling career paths. It may sound from what I've said that career paths are a bit random. Remember what Louis Pasteur said: chance only favors the prepared mind. You've been preparing your minds here at the university, and I hope you'll continue that process of lifelong education. As citizens of change, you have much to offer, and I wish you the very best on your journeys. Thank you.